What are the three types of real estate? Find out which are the best type for you and which ones provide the most returns, the most management, the least management, and what may fit for your profile. Different investors buy different properties for different purposes, and we're going to go through that. We're going to talk about what the tenants pay and what they don't pay depending on the type of property. And we're going to give you the items that you may consider in terms of your investing and what would work best for you. So let's go shopping and look at the three types of real estate. So the first type of real estate is called commercial real estate. Commercial real estate involves things like a retail center. It may involve something like a light industrial, things like the roll-up doors in the glass buildings where you have a big piece of concrete that's 12 feet high. You've driven by them and you have, a contractor that works out of there, or a veterinarian hospital, and it's just a big cement building with windows in the front and sometimes a roll-up door in the back with a glass door to go in. That would be like light industrial. Or it may be a shop where you have a mechanic shop and a plumbing company, electrician, a cabinet shop, and there's just a number of different buildings where people are renting those. So that would be one of the types of commercial. Retail you're all familiar with, where you go to buy goods and services that are typical retail. You may have a doctor in there, you may have Panera Bread, you may have some other restaurants, you may have a barber shop, etc. Those are your typical retail. The advantage of retail for an investor is that a lot of the retail properties have leases that are triple net. Triple net means that the person who is renting, or the company that is renting the space, pays all the expenses. They're going to pay the taxes, the insurance, maintenance, repair, and anything that has to do with expenses of the property. Now, how is that determined? It's determined by they pay a percentage. It's a percentage based on their space. Okay, how much space are they taking up? And that percentage for that space is billed to them monthly as triple net. So some of you that have rented in triple net buildings know that as my rent's $2,000 and my triple net charge or bill every month is another $325. So the full rent is $2,000 plus the triple net comes out to a little over $2,300. As an investor, this type of property is commonly liked by people because they know their costs. Whatever their mortgage is and whatever their interest payment is on their principal and interest on their mortgage payment, and the tenant is going to pay all the expenses. So they don't see this up and down like they do in other properties in terms of expenses, in terms of their cash flow, because even if it goes up and down, the tenant's going to pay for it, okay? People like triple net buildings. What are triple net commercial? Triple net are things like a Walgreens, like a big retail center, like a Safeway, some other shopping center are commonly triple net. The second type of commercial is a gross lease. A gross lease means basically that triple net is not billed. They pay one amount and all of this is included, okay? So this is a type of property that a lot of sophisticated or people have been investing for a long time like, and usually they start, most of them, in another type of property, which is what we're going to go over next, which is called residential. So the first type of property is commercial, second type of property is residential. Residential property is property where people live, right? So it could be a house, could be a multifamily apartment building. It could be a bunch of multifamily apartment buildings all in one complex. It could be a hotel. It could be anything where people live and reside and spend the night, okay? So that would be your typical residential property. Residential properties have more expenses, so the investor who's involved in residential properties typically is someone who's either they specialize in that, like me, that's what I do, or they are starting out, which is where a lot of people start out in residential, and they're in that realm of residential. I get calls all the time from people who say to me, why don't you sell your residential property and get a triple net deal? Triple net deal meaning a commercial property that's triple net. Now, I can't tell you how many of those calls I've got, usually from people younger than me who don't have a lot of experience, who are just starting out or been in brokerage for sometimes for 10, 20 years, but mostly usually the newbies, because they're the ones who are calling, doing the cold calling. And they say, well, you know, you could get more money, you don't have all these tenant problems, blah, blah, blah. Hence the pandemic. What happened? Commercial properties got devastated, okay? A lot of retail closed. Many hotels that were owned were in big trouble, okay? So I like multifamily residential myself because everyone needs a place to live, okay? Businesses come and go. Everyone needs a place to live. So I didn't do those triple net deals. And the reason I didn't do those triple net deals is because, one, I don't know anything about them, and I don't want to know about them because this is what I want to own. Now I got friends that this is all they do. They don't even own these. What's best for you? Well, commercial generally requires a lot more money, and residential requires less. You can get more leverage on residential. You can borrow more typically. Commercial, you may need more down. Depending on your sophistication and the type of investor you are, is going to depend specifically on what property you buy. Now we're going to go talk about the last type of property, but before I do, don't forget to subscribe. You know, I'm Paul Maguire, and I'm here to help you. I can't pay it back. I can only pay it forward. I've had many people who've helped me in my life, whether it was my godmother, who was a librarian when I was 11 years old, who got me into reading, or whether it was my parents, or whether it was many of my mentors throughout my life. Some of those people are passed away, okay? I can't pay them back. I can only pay it forward. So please help me, help you, pay it forward, and help you be successful. I've already been successful. Subscribe so we can stay in communication, and I continue to show you things on how to be successful. You know, I used to teach a lot to doctors, and I used to say, am I going to help you get one more patient? Because that's the cost of my program. And they'd all say, well, that's a no-brainer, of course. Am I going to help you make thousands of dollars? Am I going to save you thousands of dollars? Am I going to help you not make mistakes that I've made? I think so, and this is what? Free. So please subscribe so I can help you. Here's the last type of real estate that there is, and that is land, okay? Land, okay? Land is the third type of real estate, and land is the most dangerous type of real estate. I cannot overemphasize this. Land typically has no income unless you're renting the land to like people for storage or whatever. For the most part, a lot of your land has no income. And buying land is where I got my butt kicked trying to do development prior to 2008. I really got hurt by the land because it gobbles up money every month and you have no money coming in. So land, to purchase land, is probably not for most people. I often hear people say, I'm gonna buy some land and I'm gonna build a home, okay? I just bought a lot from a woman whose husband had passed. They bought the lot 12 years ago. They were gonna build a home on the land. Guess what happened? They never did, okay? So when you buy land, you have costs like taxes, insurance, maintenance of the land, cleaning the land, liability for somebody getting hurt on the land. I do not recommend you buy land unless when you close on that land, you're developing it shortly thereafter. So the land that I'm buying is already in a subdivision. All the homes are built around it. Sewer, power, water are already there. I'm building homes down there already. I bought that lot to build a home, and I am going to build a home on that shortly after I close. Where I've made mistakes in the past and where I'm trying to advise you of is I bought land like I'm going to build, you know, this or that, right? And then I would go to the city and the city wouldn't approve this or that. I sold the land to a multifamily low-income residential developer. They went before the city council, spent about $20,000 to $30,000 putting everything together to present to the city council, and the city council turned it down. 14 years later, I still own the land, okay? What I'm telling you is that of the three types of property, land is the one I do not recommend you buy for most investors unless you're a developer or you're gonna flip it or you have it approved with a subdivision or entitlements, they're called, to where it can be built. Sometimes you can buy entitled land and resell it, etc. But be careful buying land, okay? So commercial, residential, land. For most of you, residential. A lot of residential people, as they get older, go into commercial because they don't want to have the challenges of managing a residential. There are some flexibilities there between the two. I built mini storage, which I didn't put up here, self-storage. Self-storage is great. People store their stuff and they never want to move it again, right? Who wants to move? So once you move, you don't want to move again, right? So that may be another opportunity for you. So join me on the next video where we're going to talk about cap rates. Cap rates is how you value properties, and we're going to talk all about the formula and how you figure out your net operating income and some other terms that are going to be important to whether you're buying commercial or residential. You're going to want to know these terms. So I'll see you on the next video, and thanks for joining me and staying with me on this one.